Overflow family. This is your girl, Dr. Toy. Thank you so much for joining me again for another Healing Overflow with Dr. Toy. Don't forget to like our Facebook page, Healing Overflow. If you want to be notified of new videos when they come out, or if you want to watch some of the archives, go in and just dissect them and marinate in the videos. But also don't forget to share, because if you are getting something from it, you know someone else is. So let that healing overflow onto others. Email me at drtoyjones@gmail.com. Listen, if you're waiting for some topics, or you have some ideas and you want to share it, please email me, and your topic may be something that I address. Don't try to wait until I get to it. You never know. We want to be sure to address anything that you're thinking and feeling that could help you out. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Prof. Toya Jones, and like our WXCN Power Radio. That's how it sounds on the radio, so I got to say it just like that. All right, y'all, listen, let's get into the meat and potatoes. Not steak, I don't like steak, but so chicken and potatoes. Let's get into it. Our guest today on Healing Overflow with Dr. Toy, listen, she says she was depressed, bitter, angry, even suicidal as a result of unhealthy thinking patterns. This kept her in bondage until she aggressively pursued the healing of her mind. She even wrote a book about it, y'all. It's titled Hope Restored. And this book carries her message of restoring hope and healing and helping others experience a life of restoration. I cannot wait till y'all hear from her. So please put your virtual hands and your healing hands together for Nykia Tillman.
Hey.
You hear the crowd? They went wild. You're like, right.
I love it. I love it. Hello.
Hello. I'm so glad you are here. You have such a strong testimony. I've had the pleasure of hearing what you call your life's testimony, but girl, you got to share this with the viewers. Just go ahead. We're going to jump right into it.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for inviting me to share my testimony and to share my story. I really love sharing it because I really believe that it's going to provide hope and encouragement for those who are really just suffering in life. I can't say that I understand what everyone is going through, but I can say that I can empathize and I can relate. I can relate to the pain. I remember a time where I was struggling in literally almost every area of my life. I mean, I was struggling spiritually, mentally, emotionally, relationally, physically, financially, and just like I said, relationally as well. And I just got to a place where I stopped seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. So I got to the place where I felt helpless to change my situation. And that's what led to despair and utter depression. So that is literally my story I really want to share to people. Don't give up. Okay. Don't give up, because healing and hope and restoration is available to you. It happened to me and it'll happen to you.
Wow, that's so encouraging. But it sounded like you were in such a darkness, like a deep tunnel. And that had to feel just hopeless and helpless. Like, could you pinpoint where was this coming from? Where were all these emotions and this state of bondage? Where can you pinpoint something in childhood or events or anything like that?
Girl, so what happened is I remember during this time, I always had this, I wouldn't say always, but for a long time, I had this sense of emptiness inside. And it was just getting progressively worse, over the years. Mm-hmm. And so circumstances that was going on in my life was just compounding. And I just felt like I tried everything that I knew how to do to get out of my circumstances, but it was not getting better. So Again, I was struggling financially in my marriage, with other people. I was struggling, and I tried and I just couldn't get out. And so I remember specifically one time where I was just laying on my couch, almost like just lifeless, just laying on my couch. And I was having like suicidal thoughts, like, those thoughts were just like, would anybody care if I was gone? Those unhealthy thoughts,
Wow.
And so I remember while I was laying on my couch this one day, the thought came to my mind. I remembered a conversation that I had with this woman, like maybe 2 months prior to this. And I remember her sharing her testimony with me. And she was saying how her life was a complete and utter mess, and God changed it completely around. And I remember that day asking her what the difference maker was. Like, how did you change the situation? And she said it was being in an atmosphere where people constantly spoke life into her. Or, in other words, people were constantly encouraging her. So I said, okay. I remember that day while I was laying on the couch. I also recalled a time where I went to this church this one time, and there was speakers, coming. And then also at this church, they would have speakers come and share like individualized like encouragement for people. And I do remember leaving, feeling better. And so I said, okay, so let me look on their website to see if they have anything, coming, any speakers coming or anything like that. So I looked on their website and I saw that Saturday that they had a healing service. Now, mind you, they were talking about physical healing. So this service, they were going to be praying over people who needed healing in their bodies. Although, I was struggling with my body, my main thing is that I was depressed and my heart was broken. And so I needed healing in my heart.
Wow.
Now they weren't advertising for that or anything like that, but I was just like, I need something. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna go. And so that Saturday came and I was walking into the doors of the church. Now I didn't even get inside the church yet. I just remember as I was walking in the church, I just whispered in my heart, not even out loud. I didn't say anything out loud to anybody. I just whispered in my heart to God. And I said, God, please heal my heart. And so I walked in and I'm filling out my information. And as I was filling out my information, this woman, she came over and she started to pray for me. So she's praying. And at the end of the prayer, she whispers in my ear, she says, God said that he's going to heal the beauty. Or no, God said that he's going to restore the beauty back in your heart. Woo!
I got chills. How specific is that?
Exactly. And I asked, but I was just like, he heard me. Toya, so prior to this, I had this mindset that like maybe God hears my prayers, but who knows? It seemed like my prayers were just bouncing off the walls, and I don't know if he was distant or upset with me or whatever. But like these are the thoughts that I had, because of my circumstances. But girl, this day I knew that he heard me. He heard me.
That was plain.
Yes, it was plain. He heard me. He saw me. And Toya, I knew that he cared,
Wow.
and I knew that he was going to do something, you know what I mean, to change. So literally my hope was restored because I felt as though this is not the end of my story.
Wow.
So just to, so there was more that happened at this healing service, and I left and I just felt like I felt loved by my creator.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I am loved, and I felt lighter than I had in a long time. And so I remember calling my husband and a few friends and was like, I just got healed and delivered from heaviness, and this emptiness. And I remember a friend asked me a very vital question. She said, Nykia, what was the root of all this? How did you get here in the first place?
Right.
Girl, I did not know. And I'm just like, I don't know. I felt this sense of emptiness inside of me for so long that I just thought it was a part of my personality.
Mm,
like not much just made me, excited and things like that. I thought that was a part of who I was.
right.
But I realized, like, all right, I got to figure this out. And so she said, well, ask God. I'm like, okay, all right. You think he's really going to? But she said, ask God. He already said he's going to restore the beauty back in your heart. Ask him.
Come on.
And so I go into my heart. I go into my house, and it was just me, the Bible, and God. And I said, here we go, God. What happened? How did I get here?
Yeah.
How did I get so low, so depressed? What happened to me? What is the root of all of this? And that's when we began the journey of figuring this out.
So this is incredible. Like you were in such a dark place
Yeah.
and depressed, suicidal. People ain't gonna miss me if I ain't here, which is like, are you kidding me? How many people would miss you? But
Mm-hmm.
when you're in that state of mind, when you're just so much in that dark place, you feel like you're rock bottom,
Yes.
and you can't like logically think, oh, perhaps my kids and my husband and my parents and all my wonderful friends will miss me. You can't get to that point.
Right.
I really respect that you said, I feel lighter after this service. Things feel better. But how did I get here in the first place so
Mm-hmm.
that I don't repeat this? Is there
Yes.
something that's in my control? So I was thinking the same thing that your friend was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
What is at the root of that? Like, how did you get to thinking nobody's gonna miss me, or just feeling so unloved and just unwanted, and like, how
Mm-hmm.
did you get to that point and then able to just break out of that? Like, that's phenomenal. I need to hear more.
Yes, girl. So again, when I went into my house, and I just sat there and I faced and I said, God, how did I get here?
Yeah.
What happened to me? And so what he started to show me is certain beliefs that I had in my heart began in childhood. He
Wow.
was showing me how I had certain beliefs, and based off of these beliefs, I saw life a certain way, and I developed certain mindsets because of these incorrect, unhealthy beliefs that I stored in my heart. And really, what I mean by my heart is the unconscious part of my mind.
Mhm.
Like I had these belief systems that were just incorrect. And so I carried them since I was a child. And so again, I would see certain situations and then I would react, based off of my beliefs. And
Wow.
so my emotions were always affected based off of these unhealthy beliefs that I carried. So my emotions were affected, and then my actions. I was sad a lot, and then I start to isolate, and I start to feel jealous and envious of other people. So my actions were all predicated on these incorrect, unhealthy beliefs that I carried since I was a child.
Oh my goodness. So give us an example of like some of those thinking patterns and what that resulted in like real life and your behaviors and actions.
Yeah, so I'll even answer it like this. Like, I remember as a child, I came to the conclusion, for example, that I was the ugly duckling in my house. So I felt like I was just the ugly one.
I'm like, can you look at you? So those are distorted thoughts, you know?
I believed it with my whole heart.
Yeah.
And so therefore, since I believed that, I would project that onto others. And so I believe that other people believe the same way I believed about myself. And so I would go about, almost like uncomfortable, assuming that people were judging me. And like, why won't people just accept me for, how I am?
Mhm.
Maybe I'm not as cute as, others and whatnot, but just accept me. But it's like they weren't even saying anything in the first place. I was projecting.
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
just one example. But another is, and this is something that I really believe wholeheartedly, that misunderstandings misunderstandings can lead to misinterpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so there are certain things that I misunderstood as a child, and I didn't express it. I would just internalize it and then just interpret all on my own. So,
Mm.
for example, I'm sure you've heard of different love languages,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so like the family dynamic in my house, we had different love languages. And so, I saw love as X, and
Right.
children, and it's not just, a lot of children, they're very black and white thinkers and they need
Sure.
help,
Mm-hmm.
they need help seeing the gray. And so I'm thinking that love is this way. And I would see other families, do things like, hug or maybe even kiss each other on the cheek, and they would verbalize, I love you and stuff like that. That wasn't a part of my family dynamic, and that was okay. I was very loved. I was very wanted. However, they expressed it in a different way. And so,
Mm-hmm.
therefore, I was unaware, of how they were loving me so much because my mind was so black and white. And, since it wasn't like this, I therefore believed that I was unloved, unwanted, and also the ugly one. And so it just really had a hold on me. And I carried that into adulthood.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so my mind is exploding. You know, as a therapist, I teach what you just said. And so, did you go to a therapist, like a cognitive behavioral therapist, that taught you these thinking patterns?
Girl, no. No. So,
What?
no. No.
Hold on. I mean, exactly the way you talked about. You talked about feeling unlovable. You
Mhm.
talked about thinking patterns, the unhealthy thinking patterns that came from childhood.
Mhm.
This is all CBT, my friend. So how you just become a CBTer? And this is so okay. Let me explain this. Can I take a couple minutes? I'm going to explain to the viewers what cognitive behavioral therapy is,
Yeah.
because Nykia just explained it to y'all, and y'all didn't even know it, and I didn't even know it, thinking she went to a CBT therapist. Because this is how, those of us that practice cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a treatment model, it was created by Beck back in the 70s, right? It comes from the Ellis model in the 60s, and then the 70s back. And basically what Nykia explained to you is CBT. Look, I'm getting all excited, I'm all out. But listen, this is exciting because if you can look at this concept, so we call it the cognitive triad. And what is in that triad, this is exactly what she said, y'all. It's blowing my mind. The perception of events, like the perception of how people are interacting with her. Okay. And so we teach the perception of events. We can't control events. Events happen,
Right.
but it's how you perceive it and how you process it, what it will do internally in your brain. And it is not in your conscious brain. So the brain is then saying, these people are treating me like this because I'm the ugly duckling. I'm no good. I'm not loved. All of that stuff, right? Those are the thoughts. Then the thoughts lead to the emotions. And you heard her talk about feeling depressed, feeling unwanted, feeling like nobody's going to miss me if I'm gone. Like those are the emotions that then lead to the actions. Thank God that the actions weren't actually dying by suicide, and that she's here to talk to us about it. But the actions were just, we call compensatory behaviors, which means you behave in such a way to compensate for all of the negative feelings that you're feeling. Now, tell me that ain't sound like just what she said. I teach her this. So I'm like, are you kidding me that you're coming out with sounding like you've been through CBT therapy?
Mhm.
But that's really basically what it is. And so in cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, we interrupt, as the therapist, we interrupt the thinking patterns. And how you can interrupt that is your perception of the events. What else could these people be thinking about you? Because you're not a mind reader. You have no idea what they're thinking about you. They ain't thinking this stuff. And a lot of times we go to the root of the behavior, which is, or the root of the thinking, emotions and behavior, which comes from childhood, messages that a lot of times, we get from childhood, and it doesn't always have to be abuse, but sometimes it is. And in the Kia situation, it doesn't sound like it was. It was, this is how we love. And I can identify, we weren't a bunch of hugs and kisses and I love you. Then I get with my husband and all these just hugging and I love you. I was like, too much. Get off me. But I was very much loved, still am, But that is very interesting. And so in CBT, we say, what are some other thoughts that you can think about this event? Through changing the thoughts, you change your behaviors and emotions. So that is just, that's mind blowing that you came to that realization that this is rooted in childhood, and I can interrupt these thinking patterns by changing the way I'm looking at these events. It can change my emotions and my behaviors.
Yep.
Wow. You said, yup.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, when did you then move? Because if you look at you, girl, you polished, you cute, listen, your marriage, I love it. Y'all cute, kids, everything looks like perfect, right? People don't know what you've been through to get there. How did you get to this point of like, and it's always a healing journey in the process. You never I'm 100% healed from everything. How did you get to this point where now you're spilling over on people? You're helping others to heal.
So what happened is I learned the truth. Okay. And so that's how my thinking patterns changed. And so I looked at God, and, I'm a Christian. I believe in, God is my heavenly Father. And so I went to the Word. And so the times where I felt like I was alone, I went to the Word. And not only does God not lie, but he can't lie. It's outside of his nature. Okay. He can't do it. And so I would look in the Word, and he says, you've never been alone. Even though you feel in your emotions that you are alone, and you may think it in your mind, it's a lie. And because his word says that I will never leave you nor forsake you. Wow. And so once I understood the truth was able to set me free. And so that's just with one circumstance. There was times where I thought, that some of the things, bad decisions that I made in the past, that it's going to affect my future.
Right.
But I went to that word again. And he says, no, I know the plans that I have for you. Okay. Plans for hope in a future. And so I began to understand. When I was able to believe what he said, I was able to get set free. And so I started to believe what he said about me. When I felt unloved at times, not only did he say that he loves me with an everlasting love, but then he started to change my perception and my perspective about others around me as well. Wow. And I'm like, oh, I was loved this whole time. I just couldn't see it. So the blinders came off of my eyes, and I was seeing that people are imperfect. There are misunderstandings. There's misinterpretations. And Nykia, you were loved. Look at all the good. Look at all the blessings. Look what you have right in front of you and what has always been there. And so literally he had to show me all this. The blinders came off and I was set free.
Wow. Wow. Listen, viewers, if you can identify with this and you're still in the healing waiting room, really lock into these words of hope and restoration and just begin to do that work. Do that work and think about, where's that coming from? You don't have to do the work alone. Nykia is an exception to just know this CBT stuff and learn how to go through that process and using her faith to really help to restore her mind. If that's you and you identify with that, put some comments in chat, put your comments down below, hit me up in the email, and just reach out, because it takes sometimes someone to help lead you through that journey.
Right.
Nykia, you wrote a book. You went as far as that. You didn't keep all this healing good stuff to yourself. You wrote a book. Talk about the process of writing a book, and just talk about the book in general. It's called Hope Restored. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's called Hope Restore, and it's pretty much talking about what I'm sharing today. So I go along the journey of my healing journey. I probably said that wrong, but you know what I meant. So I take you through my healing journey, and then I give the readers the opportunity to focus on their healing journey as well and to go along the process with me. And so I share a lot of encouragement and how if he did it for me, he's going to do it for you. And I also have a journal, and it's a guided journal, and it can help you along your healing journey. And I also offer the testimony at the end of my book about how things started to change. When my perceptions and my beliefs changed, therefore my attitudes and my actions changed, and therefore the people around me started to change towards me, and life was happening. I mean, it was awesome. So please get this book. It's going to encourage the mess out of you.
I can't wait to get my copy. Listen, where can we get it? This is exclusive, hot off the press, because it's not even in the bookstores and Amazon yet. But tell us when it's coming out, and give us some exclusive access to your book. I want something special. Healing Overflow family, come on.
So you can go on my website, and it is hoperestoredlife.com, and you can pre-order your copy now, today. You can order it. So I have the book, I have the journal, and then I have a bundle as well. But it's www.hoperestoredlife.com. Get your copy. It's so encouraging, and I really want to use my story to help encourage those who are struggling.
Because that's how you began your healing, hearing someone else's story. Exactly. This is why this platform was created, and it's called Healing Overflow. When we heal, others around us get the overflow and they heal. And so through your testimony, your story, others will be healed just like you were. Exactly. Y'all, pre-order that book today. I'm about to get off right now and pre-order my book. I cannot wait to read it. The website is down below. Our author, Nykia Tillman, is right here, and Hope Restored is the name of the book. I am just overwhelmed, overjoyed. I'm overflowed. I'm gonna make it a verb. I'm overflowed. This was rich. As I call it, it was gold nuggets. Get y'all shovels and buckets and clean up. Thank you so much for coming and sharing everything. I know it's going to help other people.
Amen.
So listen, y'all, this is Healing Overflow with Dr. Toy. Thank you for joining us again today. Don't forget to like my Healing Overflow Facebook page. I want to hear from you too. Drop me a line. Tell me if these Healing Overflow videos are helping you and others. Don't forget to share them on the Healing Overflow Facebook page, but email me at drtoyjones@gmail.com, like our WXCM Power Radio. And I will see you again and again and again. Keep healing so that your healing may overflow onto others. Thank you, y'all.